keen interest in football. But there was one problem. She didn't want me to go to the games, even though I'd spent half my life involved in football. So I knew there had to be something going on. And I figured it was one thing. It was a boyfriend. It wasn't just a boyfriend, it was her first boyfriend. So I just asked her, do you have a boyfriend? And she responded to me, not with a yes or a no. She said, would you be mad if I did? Now, this is the moment that all girl dads fear. You know, the first boyfriend. So I had to make a quick decision. How do I respond? And then I looked into my daughter's eyes and I could see the uncertainty. She was worried about what I was going to say, what I was going to do. And I knew in that moment how I had to handle the situation. So I turned to her and I asked, is he respectful? And she says, yes. I said, does he make you laugh? And she said, yes. And I said, does he make you feel better about yourself? And she said, yes. I then said, if he's respectful, he makes you laugh, and makes you feel better about yourself, then why would I be mad? That's everything I want for you and a partner. And I'm excited to meet this young man. So at that point, I was finally invited to go to a game. And I had the opportunity to meet Evan for the first time. After the game, he walked up to me, shook my hand, introduced himself with all the confidence he could muster. And he was, in fact, respectful, and he was funny. And I could see by how he interacted with my daughter that he did make her feel good about herself. While I didn't show it on the outside, my heart was full. Fast forward a couple of months, our daughter asked if she could have a small boy-girl gathering for her birthday. We agreed, and we decided it'd be fun for them to watch a movie out on our back deck under the stars. The movie was a success, but the mess was wild. I'm assuming all the parents out there of teenagers know how quickly a mess can happen in just a short amount of time. So anyway, while all the kids went inside after the movie for cake and snacks, Evan, without me prompting him, stayed outside and helped me clean until everything was picked up. Now, while this may seem like a small gesture, it's a testament to who Evan was. I mean, he was there without prompting, came outside, helped me clean up, was very respectful, and the only one to do that. And so Evan will forever be part of my family's life because he was, in fact, my daughter's first boyfriend, and he was a great kid. So while we gather here today to celebrate Evan's life, in doing so, together we can find ways to cope, to heal, and ultimately transform this pain into purpose. Due to my job and my overarching passion to help youth, I'm going to offer a few words that may guide us on our path to healing. While I talk about this frequently, talk about loss, talk about pain a lot, this is the most difficult talk that I've ever had to give. So first and foremost, please let yourselves grieve. It's okay to grieve. Grief isn't linear and there's no right way to process. Emotions are normal and necessary. Feel the sorrow and the anger and the confusion and the love because every one of your emotions is valid. You don't have to have all the answers and you don't have to be okay right away. It's okay to be emotional. Second, lean on others. In times of despair, the instinct might be to withdraw, to shoulder the burden alone. But the truth is, we are stronger together. Talk to somebody you trust, whether it's a family member, a friend, a counselor, or a support group. Share your feelings, your memories, and your fears. You'll discover that vulnerability can be the bridge to healing, not a sign of weakness. Even when the pain feels unbearable, remember that reaching out for help is an act of courage and hope. There are people, friends, family, professionals, who want to walk alongside you, who want to help you find that light again. Next, turn your pain into purpose. It may feel impossible at first, but in time, many find that their greatest healing comes from helping others. Speak out, raise awareness, volunteer, or simply be there for someone else who's struggling. By channeling your experiences into action, you can honor the person that you've lost. And that's in large part why I do the job that I do, from the trauma that I experienced as a kid and a young man, and all the youth that I served. That's why I stand in front of you, because I am very passionate about, turning that into purpose. Next, hold on to hope. Healing takes time. It's not a straight path, and some days will feel heavier than others. But every day you keep going, you're proving to yourself and to others that hope is worth holding on to. Now I'd like to speak directly to the parents. As parents, we carry a deep responsibility to guide and support our children, especially in a world with complicated social relationships that evolve both in physical and virtual spaces. So here are some things that I think about when helping parents navigate this complex social world. The first is keep lines of communication open. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I first started picking my daughter up from school at Midway, probably in second grade, I'd pick her up after school every day, and I would say, "How was your day?" And she would say, "Fine." Fine. Well, that didn't work for me because I didn't like just the fine answer. And so I started asking direct questions. "How was your day?" She would say, "Fine." I would say, "Okay, well, who did you play with today? What did you play outside? Who decided what you played?" But ultimately asking questions and having an open line of communication. That way, when things get challenging, your communication lines are already open. Next, be aware of social media's influence. Now, social media can amplify feelings of inadequacy, exclusion, anxiety, especially for our youth. Be aware of what your children are doing in these virtual spaces. Be consumers of these virtual spaces. Know what they like. Know what they're doing. Know what apps they're on. Know what they're doing on those apps. Be vigilant and really look at those terms of service and the agreements and all the parental supports offered on these social media apps. Next, watch for warning signs. Now, warning signs get a bit tricky, but the one thing that I tell people when we're talking about warning signs is if you've seen a marked change in your child's behavior, that should trigger something, that should trigger you having at least a conversation with your child. Talk to them. Rely on that open line of communication. And then the next piece is remind them that they're not alone. Tell your child that it's okay to ask for help. Remind them that they're never standing alone, even in times where they feel the loneliest. They always have people in their corner. Now, the next thing is to every young person here, I want you to know that you are uniquely you, and that is your greatest strength. In a world filled with comparisons, especially on social media, it feels like sometimes you're not enough. But the truth is, your individuality, everything that makes you who you are, is what makes you extraordinary. Embrace your quirks, your passions, and every struggle that you have. They're all part of your story that only you can write. And remember, no matter how lonely life might feel at times, you are never standing alone. There are people who care deeply about you, family, friends, teachers, counselors, and others who want to see you thrive. When things feel overwhelming, don't hesitate to reach out to someone. Find adults you can confide in, people who will listen without judgment and offer guidance. They can be your anchor in challenging times. And if you ever feel lost, know that asking for help is a sign of courage, not weakness. Whether it's a conversation, a message, or a simple, "I'm struggling," reaching out can be the first step towards healing. You are a bright, vital part of this world, and your story matters. The challenges you face don't define you. They shape you into the strong, resilient, and incredible person that you are becoming. So embrace who you are, trust the people who care for you, and remember that you're truly never alone. And as we reflect on Evan's life and the impact he had on everyone he touched, let us carry his kindness and humor and respect in our hearts as a guiding light. His legacy reminds us to cherish one another, to seek connections in moments of pain, and to honor those we love by living with purpose and compassion. While the road ahead may feel uncertain and heavy, let us lean on each other and hold on to hope, knowing that together we can navigate even the darkest moments. Evan's memory will forever inspire us to be better, to love deeper, and support one another through life's challenges. Thank you for being here today and honoring him with your presence and your commitment to healing. Thank you. We got a video. Song.
Yeah, invite the kids to come up and grab a flower.
So now we are going to invite all of Evan's peers up to take a flower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So please, all of Evan's peers, come over.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you. Got another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. Come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong. It was small, turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach, so remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last road.
Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home.
The obituary. Evan, age 14, passed away Monday, November 18th, 2024. He was born on November 14th in Dubuque, Iowa. He loved going to school, to see his friends every day, and he truly valued their time together. Evan had a heart bigger than life and would go to any extreme to help a friend in need. He always had a smile that warmed the room. He really enjoyed playing football with the Smithton Wildcats. He loved his time with Smithton Orchestra, where he played viola. At home, he played the piano and had lots of fun creating his own musical pieces. He had a passion for playing games with family and friends. Evan enjoyed the outdoors, camping, bike riding, and roasting marshmallows on an open fire. Evan really loved animals, especially his cat Buzz and dog Copper. Evan had a fun time making goofy faces with his friends and family. He was a friend to all and will be missed by all who had the pleasure of meeting him. So I have a few remarks here that were prepared by some of Evan's friends and family and teachers. Evan was always a good friend, and when I was in a bad mood, he would always find a way to make me laugh. In It will never be the same without him. I will miss you, Evan. Jackson Burks. I met Evan in elementary school, and I played football with him since 6th grade. Those years have been awesome. He would always show up for football practice happy and ready to be there, and always be a good, cheerful teammate when we were losing or hurt. Evan would compliment everyone on anything. He was always nice to everyone. He would always have a smile on his face and love to crack jokes. Evan was a good friend to me and everyone. I will miss him. R.I.P. Evan. Rhodey Jennings. Evan was one of his first friends when he came to Midway in 4th grade, and ever since then, he has been my best friend. I remember when he sat at our table, always making jokes and smiling, and when I used to go to his house and have the funnest time with him. Evan always loved playing his viola and had a fun time with football, even when we played in the CYFL and all through middle school. I know he really had a heart for the game and always came to practice smiling and always did his best to making sure other people had a fun time. I will always miss him, and I know everyone else will too. He will always be my best friend forever, and I will never forget about the times we spent together. Fly high, Evan. Charlie Rosenberg. I can't explain how much I'll miss you. You were always so nice and kind to me, always had a smile, always laughing, always being you. You never had any enemies, not one. It's hard to see you go. I can't stop thinking about you. It really sucks. I'll never forget you. You're in a better place now. Fly high. Reese Pennington. Evan was the first person to be my friend when I came to Smithton. I met him in woodshop, and we would take snaps of each other, and I always had someone to talk to in that class. Even though I started 2 weeks before school ended, those 2 weeks with Evan were the best 2 weeks I ever had in school. I'll miss him greatly, and I wish I could have talked to him more and got his number in the summer. Kirk Dixon. I only knew Evan for 2 years, and I can't think of one bad memory about him. There wasn't a day where I could stay sad because he was always able to cheer me up and make me laugh. Katie. Evan was my best friend for 3 years and the nicest person I knew. He always managed to cheer me up. He was always honest and kind to everyone around him, and everyone liked him. We didn't have any classes together for 2 years, yet somehow he knew all my classes and walked me to each one every day before running back to his class at the last second. He always made people laugh, and you could trust him with anything. We would vote for a captain at our lunch table, and Evan was always the first pick. He was liked and respected by everyone. At football, he always played hard and did his best. He was a role model to me and people around him. We share many memories, and he was always there for me. He was the best friend I could ever ask for. I will never forget him. I love you, Evan. Fly high. Leo Steiner. Evan was a good friend, teammate, and role model. He always had a good attitude about everything and brought a smile to everyone's faces. We always wanted to go hang out with him no matter what. Parker Schwartz. Evan was a great friend and classmate. Every time I would be having a bad day, he always found a way to cheer me up. He was always so funny, and my favorite memory of me and him was at our football games. Before every play that I blitzed, I would walk up, slap his butt, and he would turn around and wink at me and say, "Let's do this." That's one of my favorite memories me and him had together. Colin Lyman. Evan was something different from anyone else. He was smart yet goofy, a little strict, extremely funny but also caring. He never put himself before anyone else. He wasn't just good on the field but also in the class. In social studies, he helped me with my essay. He put his time and effort in with me, and I'm very grateful. If it wasn't for him, I would not have a good grade in that class or in orchestra. When one of us was down, he would always be by our side. At our lunch table, he was the one who sparked the conversation. If it weren't for him, we would be bored out of our minds. He stood for what he believed in and never was afraid to share his opinion. I'll never forget Evan, no matter what. His joy and spirit will live on in our school and in each other. So Evan, thank you for the memories. God bless. Jace Wright. Evan and I had some history. I've never been to his house before, and I never really asked him about anything towards having something like hanging out at mine, so I can't really have the same level of grief as the rest. But I always loved the memories we did have, how we would always say good morning and peanut. Evan was a character and was hilarious when he would talk in funny accents. I did enjoy laughing with him anytime he would say anything in an accent. He was always finding a way to make me laugh, even if it was when we couldn't talk during school. After third period, he was always find a way to get in without me knowing. And even in the hallways, he would push me into the lockers or hold to my backpack or just walking me to class. Anyway, he was a friend or a family member that we all had lost. Bennett Murphy. Evan was awesome to play football with. The coach put him and I up against each other in a scrimmage game. Evan was a challenge to go up against, and he body slammed me good. He body slammed me good, but he showed me how to do it better. I'll miss how funny he was and how easy he was to hang out with. Rylan Hopper. I was Evan's orchestra teacher from 2022 to 2024. I very much enjoyed having him as a student. He loved music and became very skilled at playing the viola. His enthusiasm for playing and learning about music was inspiring. It gave me immense joy for us all to create this wonderful art together. Not only was Evan hardworking, but he was kind and always willing to help. In December of last year, I was teaching Evan's class about some new rhythm pattern. When I turned to go write something on the smartboard, I misplaced my foot on the podium and took a nasty fall, resulting in a rolled and sprained ankle. I tried to ignore it and just resume the lesson as planned. After all, it was not out of character for me to be a bit of a klutz during my lesson. I briefly laughed at myself and then move on, but the pain was way worse than anything from minor stumbles I had experienced before. I tried to keep a professional demeanor and resume teaching, but Evan could sense I was in significant pain. So he offered to go get some ice from the nurse's office for me to use on my entry until I could get to the urgent care center. I think moments like that perfectly demonstrate how kind-hearted Evan was. I will miss him a lot, and my heart goes out to his family and friends. Mrs. Sheets. Okay, now I'm going to read the words from Evan's mother, so bear with me. On November 18th, our precious Evan was taken from this world far too soon. Though the enemy sought to steal his life, we know with certainty that he is now safe in the loving arms of the Lord, surrounded by perfect peace and eternal love. Evan was a radiant light in this world. His smile could brighten the darkest moments, and his laugh was pure joy, a gift to everyone who heard it. With a heart for serving others, Evan was always willing to go above and beyond to help those in need. Whether it was cooking his specialties for family, buying things for others with his hard-earned cash at lemonade stands, showing kindness to a stranger, or simply offering a listening ear, Evan lived with a servant's heart, reflecting the love of Christ in everything he did. Evan was a true go-getter. Evan approached life with energy and determination. He loved riding his bike, often pretending for hours, and often pedaling for hours and exploring the world around him with fearless spirit and a sense of adventure. He embraced challenges with courage, always striving to do his best in everything he pursued. Evan's love extended to all God's creations, especially animals. Evan had a deep love for animals, especially his beloved cat and dogs, who brought so much joy to his life. He is survived by his loving father Eric, devoted mom Ashton, fun stepdad Brandon, all of his siblings minus his older sibling, his grandparents Deb and John, Lori Meyer, Bob and Lisa Meyer, and a community of family, friends, and pets who adored him. While we long to hold him in our arms again, we take comfort in knowing that Evan is held by the one who loves him perfectly and eternally. Evan, you are a gift to this world, our joy, our sunshine, our inspiration. Though the enemy may have taken you, he will never win the victory over your soul. You belong to the Lord, and because of Jesus, we know we will see you again one day. Until that day comes, we will carry your light in our hearts, play your music in our memories, and honor your adventurous spirit in all we do. Rest peacefully, my sweet boy. You are forever loved, forever cherished, and forever missed. Now I believe I'm going to bring Evan's father up.
Thank you, Chad. Growing up, a lot of myself and a lot of my friends, we didn't like to go to school. And Evan loved going to school. And that's because of all the friends that he had. And he absolutely loved all of the time that he had with you all. I want you all to know, if anybody out there is thinking that this had something to do with an action of yours, I promise you it did not. Okay? And I just want to say that no matter how tough life gets, no matter how hard things feel, no matter how desperate you seem to be, don't ever give up. Everybody in this room is somebody that you can talk to, and not a single one of them will turn you away or make you feel worse. I promise you, you have the support you need. And it's all around you. That's it. Thank you.
Evan's friends. But we do know that Evan did love Smithton. He loved orchestra. He loved football. So we have his jerseys here, coaches here also. And we want his family to have one of his jerseys to kind of keep that memory of him playing ball. And if you haven't had a chance yet, there's some great pictures of him in the 77 jersey on the football field down here. So we have one of each for you guys.
My name is Caleb Isaacson, and I have the honor of serving as the youth pastor here at Midway Heights Baptist Church. Today, as we gather in a moment of great sorrow and loss, but we also gather in the presence of hope, a hope that doesn't waver, even in the darkest times. We're here to remember Evan, a beloved son, friend, and part of our community. His absence leaves an ache in our hearts, but I believe there is hope and healing to be found, even in the midst of this challenging time. Before I share further, I want to emphasize something important. Life is not meant to be lived alone. We all need community. We all need one another. A place where we can be supported, encouraged, and reminded of the goodness and hope that we can find in God. If you have a church home, I encourage you to lean into that community. And if you don't have a church, I want you to know that we would be honored to welcome you here at Midway Heights. Life is better when we walk through it together, especially when we're pursuing what is good. And here, we firmly believe in the goodness that begins and ends with God. Now, before I continue, I'd like to begin with a prayer, if you'd bow your heads with me. Dear Jesus, you are our wonderful counselor, God, and you are our Prince of Peace. In a moment of sorrow and heartache, we turn to you, asking for your presence to surround us. Lord, there is so much pain and confusion here today, but we know that you are a God of comfort, a God of healing, a God of hope. We believe that you draw close to the brokenhearted. Please guide my words as I speak, that your truth may bring light into this heavy moment. Encourage those who feel broken, God, and comfort those who grieve, Lord, and give us strength to trust in you. We thank you for your hope. We thank you for your love and your promises and your peace, God. And it's in your name, Jesus, that we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
So, as we reflect on Evan's life today, I want to share words of hope. Hope that we can cling to, even in the midst of an extremely difficult circumstance. Evan's passing touches so many lives, as we can see here in this room, but it goes both here and far beyond this room to memories of so many people that just will not be forgotten. Memories that bring a smile to our faces, especially as we heard in some of those remarks where it made us laugh, but just great memories of someone who impacted so many. In moments of tragedy and challenge, it's natural to see a variety of responses in what some people may feel like they can't go on, they don't know what to do. Others may turn back, retreating to something familiar, while still others might lose confidence in themselves or their ability to keep moving forward. But today, I want to introduce you to someone who will never fail you. Someone you can believe in even when you feel like you can't believe in yourself. let's explore the hope and the promises we have in Jesus Christ, the one who meets us in our brokenness and offers peace and beyond that, restoration. If you don't know him, his name is Jesus. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The passage of scripture that I want to share with you today comes from the Gospel of John. It's a passage that a couple of my pastor friends recommended to me. These are words spoken by Jesus to his disciples, his closest friends, at a time when they too were facing fear and uncertainty. Let me read that for you. This passage, if you want to know where it's at, is John 14, verses 1 through 6. It says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There's more than enough room in my Father's home. If it were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am. And you know the way where I am going." "No, we don't know the way, Lord," Thomas said. "We have no idea where you're going. So how can we know the way?" Jesus told him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." Jesus begins by saying, "Don't let your hearts be troubled." Those are some hard words to follow, because so often we feel pain, we feel hurt, we feel brokenness in our lives. But God can be there with us through it all. These words were spoken to his disciples as they were facing uncertainty and sorrow. And they're just as true for us today. Life, in all its different forms, can bring pain. It can bring challenges that we don't always understand. In these moments, Jesus offers a foundation of hope, a promise that we can trust him, even when we're not sure who else to trust. We can lean on him, even when life feels heavy, tough, burdensome. Jesus continues by saying, "In my Father's house are many rooms. I'm going to prepare a place for you." This is a reminder of the deep care and love that Jesus has for his people. Not only does Jesus promise to be with us, but he also assures us that he is preparing a place for those people who trust in him. This preparation is more than just a future promise. It's evidence that God's provision and presence are with us now. And that can be something to give us hope, that God can be here with us. If he is preparing a home for us in eternity, we can trust him to walk with us through the valleys of this life. It's moments like this today that we need to recognize that this life is temporary, and Jesus can offer us eternal security where we can rely on him. When Thomas asks, "How can we know the way?" Jesus responds with three things, with words that anchor our hope. He says, "I am the way." He says, "I am the truth." He says, "I am the life." This is not just about knowing where we'll go to after this life. This is about knowing who we can trust here and now. Jesus is the way through life's challenges. He is the truth in a world of uncertainty. When there's so many lies that are all around us, we can know where we can find truth. And the life that he gives us purpose and hope, even in the most challenging moments. Another passage that speaks to hope is Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. This verse, contrary to what we sometimes think, isn't about relying on our own abilities. This verse is talking about drawing strength from Jesus. When we feel weak, his strength sustains us. When life feels overwhelming, his presence carries us. 1 Corinthians 13:13 adds another layer to our hope. It says 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. In this time of grief, let us hold tightly to those 3 things. Let our faith in Jesus sustain us. Let our hope in him shine brightly, even in the face of sorrow. And let the love we share with one another be a reflection of his love for us in the days, months, and years to come. Those of you here, remember to reach out and continue to love on one another and this family. As we close, I want to invite all of us to join together in a prayer that many of us know well. This is the Lord's Prayer. This prayer reminds us of God's presence and provision and power in all things. Sometimes when we just don't know what to pray, we can turn to this prayer that Jesus taught us. If you know it and would like to join me, go right ahead. It says, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you all for allowing me to share with you today. Thank you all for coming out and supporting this family and supporting one another in this time of grief. I know it's a hard time for everyone here, but I want to encourage you to lean into community. Lean into God. And remember, even in the hardest moments, when it may feel hopeless, there still is hope. His name is Jesus. Thank you.